In this video, discover the most professional tattoo shading techniques. Whip shading technique. Stipple shading. Dot shading. Smooth shading. Soft shading. Tight shading technique. Blended shading technique. Whip shading technique. In the whip shading technique, magnum needles are used due to their specific design and wider surface area, which allow for soft and natural shading. This technique involves starting the tattoo machine from one point on the skin and gradually lifting the needle as it moves away. This creates a shadow that fades smoothly from dark to light. Key points for proper whip shading execution. 1. Control hand pressure. Excessive pressure can damage the skin and make the shading look unnatural. Practice evenly reducing your hand pressure to transfer ink gently without causing harm. 2. Needle angle. Hold the tattoo machine at an angle of about 45 degrees to the skin. This angle helps you achieve smooth and seamless shading without unwanted edges. Stipple shading technique. Stipple shading is an artistic method used to create soft shadows and natural textures in tattoos. This technique involves making small, repetitive dots using specific needles, either uniformly or denser, in certain areas. For this technique, round liner (RL) needles are commonly used as they provide precision and clean dot application. What is stipple shading? Stipple shading is an artistic tattooing method used to create soft shadows and natural textures through small, repetitive dots. By adjusting the density and spacing of the dots, this technique produces smooth gradients and textured effects that enhance the design's depth and detail. Key points for proper stipple shading execution. 1. Control needle pressure and depth. Ensure balanced hand pressure to avoid over-penetrating the skin. Maintain a steady depth for clean, uniform dots. 2. Adjust dot spacing. For darker shading, keep the dots close together. For lighter effects, increase the spacing between dots to create softer transitions. 3. Precise hand movement. Hand movement should be short, controlled, and consistent. Avoid jerky or uneven motions to maintain uniformity in shading. 4. Set machine speed appropriately. Adjust the machine speed to complement the needle size and dot density. A moderate speed is usually best for achieving clear and consistent dots without overworking the skin. Applications of this technique. Stipple shading is ideal for designs requiring detailed textures, such as geometric patterns, minimalist tattoos, or black and gray styles. It's also commonly used in portraits and abstract designs to add natural effects. Smooth shading technique. Needle used. For this technique, magnum, milligram needles are used as they have a broad surface, allowing for smooth and even shading. What is smooth shading? Smooth shading is a popular method for creating soft, smooth shadows in tattoo designs. In this technique, ink is applied evenly and gradually to the skin, producing a soft, natural effect. It's particularly suitable for portraits, floral designs, or any tattoo that requires soft, gradual shading. Key points for proper smooth shading execution. 1. Control hand pressure. To create soft shadows, the hand pressure must be even and light. Avoid excessive pressure to prevent sharp lines or uneven shadows. 2. Needle movements should be slow and consistent, allowing the shadows to gradually blend without harsh lines. Continuous movement in different directions helps create a natural shadow effect. 3. Machine speed selection. The machine speed should be set in a way that allows for even application of the shading, avoiding blotches or unnatural dark spots. A moderate speed is generally ideal for this technique. 4. Use of diluted ink. To achieve softer, lighter shades, use diluted ink. This allows the ink to gently absorb into the skin, creating more natural-looking shadows. Applications of this technique. Smooth shading is perfect for designs that require even, soft shading, such as portraits, floral tattoos, and nature-inspired designs. It's ideal for creating smooth, natural effects in complex designs and blending shadows. With practice and proper control of pressure and speed, you can achieve very soft and delicate shading that enhances your design with depth and beauty. Tight shading technique. Needle used for this technique. For tight shading, round shader (RS) needles are typically used. These needles, with multiple closely spaced needles, are ideal for precise shading in smaller or more detailed areas. They create tight, concentrated shading, making them perfect for fine shading in areas that require sharper, more defined gradients. What is tight shading? Tight shading focuses on applying dense layers of ink to create bold, defined shadows. Unlike other shading techniques that use broader, softer strokes, tight shading uses precise needle movements to build up darker shades and gradients with high control. This technique is ideal for areas that need sharper contrasts, such as detailed portraits or intense black and gray designs. Key points for proper tight shading execution. 1. Control needle pressure. Tight shading requires firm but controlled hand pressure to ensure the ink is applied densely in the desired areas. Avoid excessive pressure to prevent skin damage and uneven saturation. 2. Layering the shading. Build up the shading in layers, applying lighter layers first and gradually increasing ink density for darker shadows. This layering effect helps create smoother transitions and avoids harsh lines. 3. Machine speed adjustment. Adjust the machine speed to allow for fine control over the shading. A slower speed is best for achieving tight, defined shadows, while a higher speed may be used for lighter base layers. 4. Needle selection for precision. Choosing the right needle size, typically 5-ice or 7-ice, ensures the shading remains concentrated and precise without spilling into surrounding areas. Fine needles provide better control for creating detailed and defined shadows. Applications of this technique. Tight shading is perfect for areas where sharp contrasts or deep shadows are needed. It's ideal for portraits, geometric designs, or any tattoo requiring clean, bold shadow lines. Blended shading technique. Needle used for this technique. For the blended shading technique, Magnum, milligram, or curved Magnum, CMG, needles are typically used. What is blended shading? Blended shading focuses on creating a smooth transition between different shades, typically from light to dark, without harsh lines. This technique is used to achieve a natural flow in shading, blending the tones seamlessly for a soft, gradient effect. It's commonly used in realistic tattoos, such as portraits, where smooth transitions are required. Key points for proper blended shading execution. 1. Control of pressure. Maintain consistent, light pressure to ensure a smooth transition between shades. Gradually build the shading from light to dark to avoid harsh lines. 2. Needle movement. Move the needle in gentle, consistent strokes to help blend the shading smoothly. Circular or back and forth motions can assist in achieving a seamless gradient. 3. Layering. Like other shading techniques, layering is essential. Start with a light base layer, then build up the shading gradually, ensuring each layer blends smoothly into the next. 4. Machine speed. Adjust the machine to a moderate speed to ensure the shading blends without creating streaks or uneven tones. 5. Use of diluted ink. For a smoother gradient effect, consider using diluted ink. This allows you to build up the shading slowly, creating softer transitions and preventing harsh lines. Applications of this technique. Blended shading is ideal for tattoos that require smooth transitions, such as portraits, realistic animals, and other designs that need a natural, soft gradient. It is especially effective for designs with subtle shading and highlights that must flow seamlessly. With the right control and technique, blended shading creates stunning, lifelike effects that add depth and dimension to your tattoos. Now that you've learned shading techniques, check out this clip from my previous video to dive deeper into creating a gray wash set and shading details. Make sure to like and subscribe for more tutorials. Stay creative until the next video.